Hello everyone, we are watching Reddy ChemTuber. In this lecture, we will discuss about the basicity versus nucleophilicity. What is exactly base and what is exactly nucleophile? What is the difference between these two? Because these two are very important in the nucleophilic substitution reactions and elimination reactions also. See, base is defined by the equilibrium constant. Defined by the equilibrium constant of abstracting proton. Base meaning is what? It has to abstract the proton. To abstract the proton, it depends on the equilibrium constant. So here, if I take the base, this is a base, it is an acid. It is abstracting one proton from this base. H plus it is abstracting, and we are getting BH and A minus. Okay. This abstraction of the proton depends on the equilibrium constant. So forward reaction should be more and equilibrium constant should be more. That's why I write it here. Base is thermodynamic factor. Base quantity is thermodynamic factor or thermodynamic quantity. If you observe nucleophile, it is defined by the rate of attack. Rate of attack on electrophilic carbon. It is the speed or rate of attack on the electrophilic carbon. For example, if we see it is a nucleophile, it is one haloalkane. These halogens are electronegative, this carbon becomes electropositive. When the electrophilic carbon is generated here, this nucleophile trying to attack at this carbon. So how much speed, what is the rate of attacking of nucleophile at this carbon, electrophilic carbon? That is nucleophile. Nucleophile is nothing but rate of attack on the electrophilic carbon called as nucleophilic, that is nucleophile. So I write it here, nucleophile is kinetic factor. Nucleophile is kinetic factor. Okay, so base is thermodynamic factor, nucleophile is kinetic factor. Okay, if you observe one common point between these two, base and nucleophile, base is abstracting a proton and it is a forming bond with base. Hydrogen forming bond with base, or base is going to form bond with one hydrogen. A new bond is formed here with base. Between base and hydrogen, it is a new bond. This is new bond. New bond is formed. Here also, nucleophile, when nucleophile attack here, there is a new bonding between nucleophile and carbon. This is a new bond. Okay, we can see the new bond in both the cases, but the difference is base is forming new bond with hydrogen, nucleophile is forming new bond with carbon. Okay, see, I'll tell one example which explains about the basicity and nucleophilicity. I will take one simple molecule CH3, CH, CH3, CH3, here I write CH plus. This is one carbocation. Which type of carbocation it is? Tertiary carbocation. Tertiary carbocation. I add one OH minus here. If I add an OH minus, this OH minus, if it attack this way, it forms a new bond with carbon. So CH3 COH, CH3 CH3. The new bond is formed between the carbon and oxygen. This is a new bond. New bond is forming with carbon. When the reagent or a species is forming new bond with carbon, that type of species are said to be nucleophile. These are nucleophile. Okay, if I take the same molecule OH minus, the same species I am taking. If I take the OH minus, if we take one hydrogen from this species, from this hydrogen, if we take this hydrogen, base, this is functioning is what here, it is just taking the one proton. After taking the proton, these electrons are transferred to here. I am writing CH3, C double bond, CH2 and CH. This is the product. After formation of the product, what about this OH? OH is abstracting a proton and converting into H2O. This is from H2O. So you can see a new bond formed between hydrogen. If a new bond formed with hydrogen, now in this case, this is acting as a base. Understood the point? So in this example, I would like to tell you exactly what is the base and what is the nucleophile. In the both the cases, OH minus, both the cases I am taking same species. In this case, if OH minus is attacking here, a new bond we can see between the carbon and oxygen. If any one species forming the new bond with carbon, they are said to be nucleophile. In this case, if they are taking only one proton and forming the product after formation of the product, if it is taking one hydrogen, it is forming the bond with hydrogen. A new bond is forming with the hydrogen here, that's why it is said to be base. Okay, the final resultant point is base forms new bond with hydrogen. Nucleophile forms new bond with carbon. So this is the difference between base and nucleophile. Next. Now, so I will tell you few examples which can understand about the exactly nucleophile. Okay. So here I write one point, negative charged species. Negative charged species are good nucleophiles. Criteria, this is I am taking about the criteria for nucleophile. Means how can we guess which is strong nucleophile, which is weak nucleophile, that I am talking here. Negative charged species are good nucleophile, then similar neutral species. Then similar neutral species. Compared to neutral species, negatively charged species are said to be good nucleophiles. For example, if I take OH minus H2O, okay, and NH2 minus NH3. Among these two examples, OH minus can be taken as good nucleophile. This is a good nucleophile and it is strong nucleophile. I write it as, instead of good, I write as strong. It is much more similar. Strong nucleophile. Okay, so in this case, OH minus can be taken as a strong nucleophile, and this is weak nucleophile. Among these two, NH2 minus can be taken as strong nucleophile, and this can be taken as weak nucleophile. So the point is, negatively charged species. Negatively charged species are said to be always strong nucleophiles. This is the point. Next point is, second point, across the period, nucleophilicity decreases. Across the period, nucleophilicity decreases. For example, if I take the OH minus F minus, OH minus F minus, NH3, and if I take the CH, let us take about this OH minus F minus. Among these two, OH minus F minus, compare oxygen after nitrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. This is the across the period. Oxygen, after oxygen we are getting fluorine. So fluorine is a small atomic size. When fluorine becomes small atomic size, it can tightly hold this bond pair of electron. This is the fluorine. It has electron. Due to small atomic sizes, it can hold these electrons tightly. When it holds tightly, does it form a new bond with carbon? Nucleophile has to form a new bond with carbon, right? So whenever smaller atoms are there, it has more attraction toward the nucleus. So this smaller atom can hold the non-bonded electrons more tightly. When they hold the non-bonded electron tightly, they cannot able to form the new bond with carbon easily. So smaller atoms are said to be weak nucleophile. That's why I am getting the point, across the period nucleophilicity decreases. OH minus F minus. So OH minus said to be strong nucleophile. This is strong nucleophile and this is weak nucleophile. Another example, if I take the another example of about this, NH3 and H2. N is an H2. Among nitrogen and oxygen, which is more electronegative? Oxygen. When it is a more electronegative, does it form a new bond by sharing pair of electron with the carbon? Whenever electronegative atom is there, more electronegative atom, does this more electronegative atom can form new bond with carbon by sharing its lone pair of electrons? No. So comparing to nitrogen, oxygen more electronegative, so it cannot able to form new bond with carbon, cannot act as a good nucleophile comparing to ammonia. As in comparing to ammonia. So ammonia is said to be good nucleophile in this case. So ammonia is a good nucleophile or strong nucleophile. I did it as strong nucleophile. Strong nucleophile. Another example, if I take the H2O and H2S. H2O and H2S. H2O, H2S. Okay, next I will discuss along the period, along the group. This is about the across the period. Next, third point I did it here. This is second point. Third point is down the group, nucleophilicity increases due to increase in polarizability. What is polarizability? The ability of an atom to distort another atom easily. It can disturb the other atom easily. Suppose that is a phenomenon is said to be polarizability. Suppose if I take a few example in this case, F minus, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus. Down the group, if I take down the group, nucleophilicity increases. I am telling. Why nucleophilicity increases? As I told you, nucleophile is a substance. It has to form the new bond with carbon. When it can form new bond with carbon? When the atomic size is more. When the atomic size is more, it can't hold the electron that much easily. Attraction will be less. When attractions from the outermost electron to nucleus are less, it can able to easily react with any one electrophilic carbon, can form new bond easily. Down the group, as atomic size increases, it can easily distorted by the some other species. Like these are distorted easily by the carbocation or an electrophilic carbon. Whenever they are distorted easily, they can be polarized easily. Whenever they are polarized easily, they can able to easily act as a strong nucleophile. So the point is here, remember that down the group, nucleophilicity increases because atomic size increases, they can easily form the bond. So for example, if I take the F minus, here I take I minus. Here we have an electrophilic carbon. Here also we have an electrophilic carbon. So both the cases we have electrophilic carbon. Now you can tell me, you can observe this, whether fluorine can attack easily or iodine can attack easily to form a new bond with carbon. Here, due to more atomic size of iodine, atomic size is more. When atomic size is more, from nucleus to outermost electron, attractions less. When attractions are less, these electrons can easily shade to the electrophilic carbon, can easily form new bond. That's why I can write I minus said to be strong nucleophile. I minus said to be strong nucleophile. Whereas in F minus case, F minus is smaller atom. Whenever smaller atoms are there, it be due to small atomic size, attractions are more. When attractions are more towards the nucleus, does this atom can share electron to the electrophilic carbon that much easily? No, it is not possible. So atomic size, whenever it is more, it can able to easily act as a strong nucleophile. When electronegativity is less, it can easily attack. It can easily attack. It is act as a strong nucleophile. Okay. So the 2 points you have to remember. Across the period, nucleophilicity decreases. Down the group, nucleophilicity increases. Okay. Another example. Down the group, I write it here. Down the group, if I take the OH minus, SH minus, among these two, which is said to be a good or strong nucleophile? If I take the OH minus and SH minus, oxygen is a more electronegative atom. It has a pair of electrons and negative charge. sulfur also having pair of electron negative charge, but oxygen is more electronegative. When it is a more electronegative atom is there, it cannot easily share the electron comparing to sulfur. Whereas sulfur, due to more atomic size comparing to oxygen, oxygen size is small, whereas sulfur atomic size more. When atomic size is more, this electron can easily share in the bonding. That's why I can write among these two, which is strong nucleophile, SH minus. This is said to be a strong nucleophile. Okay. Another example, if I take NH3 and PH3, can you tell me among these two which is strong nucleophile? Nitrogen to phosphorus, atomic size increases. When atomic size increases, it can easily share to the electrophilic carbon, can easily form the bond. So PH3 is said to be strong nucleophile. Okay. So this is all about the about nucleophilicity. Along the period decreases, down the loop increases. We have to see the electronegativity of the atom and also size. When electronegativity is very high, that is act as a weak nucleophile. If electronegativity is very small, it can act as a good nucleophile comparatively. And down the group, when atomic size is more, it can be highly polarizable and it is act as a good nucleophile or strong nucleophile. Now, nucleophilicity having some effects whenever the hindrance is there. Steric, I write one point here. Steric effects on nucleophilicity. So, what is the steric effect? How it can affect on the nucleophilicity? Steric effects means I write two examples. First example is CH3, CH3, O minus. Okay, the name of this molecule is tertiary beta oxide. Another example, CH3, CH2, O minus. This is ethoxide. Observe these two examples: ethoxide, tertiary beta oxide. Here, tertiary beta oxide, ethoxide. If you observe these two examples, where we can see the steric factor. Steric factor means hindrance, crowding. Here we can see 3 methyl groups are crowded here. When 3 methyl groups are crowded, when it is highly hindered. This is said to be highly hindered. This is, there is no hindrance, unhindered. So what happens here it is, when the molecule is bulkier, so our main intention is what? It has to form the new bond with carbon. If I take the bulkier molecule and simple molecule and bulkier molecule, if you observe, this is the bulkier, this is simple. So can you tell me among the bulkier and the simple molecule, which can easily reach to the carbocation and easily form the bond? Obviously simple molecule. Simple molecule can easily reach to the carbon, can easily form the bond. Whereas bulkier, it cannot reach to the carbon because 3 sites are sterically crowded. Due to more mass, it cannot attack. I already told you, nucleophilicity or nucleophile is a kinetic factor. Nucleophile is a kinetic factor. So it is a rate of attack on electrophilic carbon. That rate we have to see. Based on that only we can define strong nucleophile or weak nucleophile. The rate of attack of bulkier nucleophile at the carbon rate is slow. Whereas the attack of simple nucleophile on the carbon rate is fast. Because smaller atom can easily reach to the electrophilic carbon, can easily form the bond. So nucleophilicity is all about the rate. So among these two, can you tell me which is the strong nucleophile? This is strong nucleophile because it is simple molecule. So I write it here. This molecule is said to be strong nucleophile. Strong nucleophile. Whereas what about this? Weak nucleophile. Weak nucleophile. Okay. This is strong nucleophile. This is weak nucleophile. And what about the basic? Can you tell me among these two, which is strong base, which is weak base? Which is strong base, which is weak base? To explain about the acidic nature, basic nature about these two examples, this is tertiary beta oxide, this is ethoxide. Normally, acidic nature of alcohols, if you see, acidic nature of alcohols, primary alcohols are stronger acid than secondary alcohols and tertiary alcohols. Primary alcohols are strong acids. Primary alcohols are strong acids. If primary alcohols are strong acids, its conjugate base becomes what? Weak. So I write this is said to be this molecule weak base. Weak base. What about this molecule tertiary beta oxide? Tertiary beta oxide is said to be tertiary alcohol. If I write one H plus here, nothing but what? Tertiary alcohol. Tertiary alcohol is a weak acid. Tertiary beta oxide is strong base. So I write it here. This is said to be strong base. Okay. So from this you have to understand that steric factors is very important in the nucleophilicity. Due to bulkiness, this sodium tertiary beta oxide, due to bulkiness, act as strong base and weak nucleophile. Okay. Similarly, ethoxide. What about ethoxide? Ethoxide is said to be weak base and strong nucleophile. These points are very important. Okay. So understand here, I told you tertiary beta oxide is a bulkier molecule. Due to bulkiness, the rate of attack of this bulkier molecule to the electrophilic carbon is slow. So weak nucleophile. But tertiary beta oxide is a conjugate base. Its acid is tertiary butyl alcohol. Tertiary alcohols are weak acids. When tertiary alcohols are weak acids, its conjugate base becomes strong. Similarly, ethoxide is unbulkier, no hindrance, unhindered. Due to unhindered, it is said to be when hindrance is not there, bulkiness is not there, it can easily reach to the carbon, it can easily form the bond. Rate of attack at electrophilic carbon will be fast. So I write it as strong nucleophile. Okay, and ethoxide conjugate acid is what? Primary alcohols. Primary alcohols are stronger acids. When these are stronger acids, its conjugate base become weak base. Okay, so these 2 points we have to remember, which is strong base, which is weak nucleophile. This is a weak base and strong nucleophile. Okay, now I will tell you some examples to differentiate the nucleophilicity. And observe this, predict the strong nucleophile. I have written few examples. We have to find out which is strong nucleophile. First case, I have given 2 options, either this one or this one, we have to choose. This is tertiary amine, this is secondary amine. Here bulkier factor plays important role. Which is more bulkier? This is bulkier, it is somewhat less bulkier. So this is said to be strong among these 2. This can be taken. Next, this is dimethyl ether, this is dimethyl sulfide. Which is more? Oxygen sulfur, bulkiness same, both are having dimethyl groups. But electronegativity, if you see, oxygen sulfur, comparing to oxygen sulfur, more atomic size. When atomic size increases down the group, polarizability increases, nucleophilicity also increases. So it is a strong nucleophile. Next, dimethyl sulfide, hydrogen sulfide. I already told you negatively charged species are strong nucleophile, then it's similar neutral molecules. So comparing to H3S, CS3S is more. Why? It has negative charge as well as lone pair of electron. It has only pair of electron. It has negative charge also. So it is said to be strong nucleophile. Among these 2, here this is more bulkier, it is less bulkier. But nitrogen is less electronegative. Electronegativity of nitrogen is less than oxygen. So this electronegativity factor dominates here. So as electronegativity factor dominates here, I write it tertiary amine in this case said to be strong nucleophile. Even though it is less bulkier, here electronegativity factor dominates. So this will be strong nucleophile. Among these two, methyl sulfide, methanol. So obviously here sulfur, here oxygen, and negative charge always strong nucleophile. Among these two, this is isopropoxide. If I expand the molecule like this, if you see CH3 CHO minus, this is the structure, don't get confused. Isopropoxide, this is propoxide, which is said to be strong nucleophile. Here, this is a simple molecule, it is a bulkier molecule. So when bulkier molecule is more, its rate of attack will be slow. So this will be strong nucleophile. Among iodide and chloride, which is more strong nucleophile, more atomic size. When atomic size increases down the group, polarizability increases. So that is said to be strong nucleophile. Okay, understood the concept about nucleophilicity? So that's all in this lecture. In next lecture, I am going to start about the SN2 and SN1 mechanism. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.